In today's video, we're going to be taking a grounded and nervous system friendly approach to the cosmic portal day known as Lion's Gate, which is an alignment between Sirius, Orion's belt and the Earth. We're going to be exploring what the energetic opportunities here are, mainly around manifestation or creating in form and empowerment in its truest sense, not from a willful place, not from a place of becoming something, but actually just resting in the truth of who we are. So if you are looking for an approach to this time that really honors your humanity and also your divinity in an embodied way, this is the video for you. Hello and welcome. This is Temple of Akasha, the home of embodied spirituality with me, Natasha. And today we're going to be speaking about Lion's Gate, manifestation, and true empowerment. Before I get started, if you're watching this in real time, my Lion's Gate event on the 8th of August is only £15. It's a 2-hour event dedicated to getting you into the embodied space of confidence, worth, value, and power, not from a place of will, not from a place of trying to become something, because you already are that which you seek. This is going to be a process of simply sweeping away the impurities that obscure the truth and light of who you are. And that's really the invitation of this time of Lion's Gate and Leo season. It's to connect with that fire energy, that solar energy, which is luminous. The true self is luminous. That light can burn through all impurities if we give ourselves the grace to connect with it. So that's what we'll be doing in my event. The link to that is in the description box below if you wish to join me. So let's start today's video by speaking about portal days in general, because there is typically quite a frenetic energy that's associated with portal days. And I think manifestation in general, or there can be, if you haven't quite mastered the art of creation yet. For me, I always approached portal days from a place of this kind of exhilarated doing energy, a very willful energy, which was actually coming from a lot of nervous system dysregulation. So I would get myself into these states where I would feel like I really have to do something and try really hard during this time to achieve something, and then subsequently it would lead to dysregulation or burnout or some degree of collapse or crashing on the other side. This is what happened to me last year. I was surfing the wave of this energy. I was experiencing this energy very viscerally in my system, but because I wasn't doing it in a grounded and integrated way, it really took me to the heights of manifestation potential, and it really laid the energetic groundwork for a huge shift in my reality. Everything changed by the end of the year for me, but on the other side of this manifestation portal, I was burned out. So this is what I want to address today. That this is a very powerful slipstream and time of creating. We have a lot of solar energy here. There's a lot of energy at this time that's really encouraging us towards embodied states of empowerment, of luminosity, of expansion. And so this is a great time to really tune into our God-given desires, our visions, our heartfelt wants and needs, and to move in an embodied way into those states, to become the states we desire, so that we can then be available for them in form. But it's very important that we don't enter into those states from a place of internal exertion, which can often show up in the body as anxiety, almost like fight flight, dysregulation in the nervous system. It can feel very frenetic, as I've mentioned. It can often feel during these times, when there are portal days and it's kind of bounded around a lot in the spiritual community, that there's something that we have to do, that we're going to miss out on something if we don't, capitalize on this time. And I would just like to offer the mirror that everything is perfect. If you choose to do nothing consciously at this time, you will receive this energy regardless, and you will get what you need regardless. But this is a time, if we're ready to tune in consciously, where we can just use this cosmic wave of vibration to perhaps surf more easily into an embodied state and a vibration that is more aligned with our true desires and our true self. So that's the invitation. And so in today's video, I want to speak a little bit about this process of manifestation, because really this is the energy that's most, I feel, abundant during this time. It's a very creative, it's a very fertile energy. It feels like harvest energy. And so how do we approach this portal in a way that's honoring of our systems, that's not going to send us into these kind of dopamine spikes and crashes, that's going to help us stay regulated, but also really allow us to utilize this time, this energetic gateway. And I would like to offer a perspective that it's far less about what you're doing and far more about how you're embodying. So really giving yourself the grace to actually sit in the desired states, but even more than that, rather than just sitting in the desired states and feeling them, I invite you to allow those states to emerge effortlessly, because this is so much of what I think is misconstrued about manifestation or the process of creating in form. And I know that I've certainly been on a journey with this myself. There can be this real sense that manifestation requires us to become something. We've got to become the next level. That was very much what I identified with and what I bought into when I've been learning over the years about manifestation. And from one perspective, that's true. We are shifting, we are transforming when we start to open ourselves up to other frequency bandwidths, when we start to open ourselves to different ways of being and embodying. But it's not really about a process about becoming something else or someone else. It's actually more of a state of returning to the truth of who we are, to the allness, to our luminous allness, and really just allowing the obscurities and the fallacies to fall away. And for me, this is where this approach becomes a lot more sustainable and nervous system friendly, because we're not trying to manifest or create from an exertive state of will. We're actually simply surrendering into our true nature, and we're allowing divine will to work through us, to work in our lives, to orchestrate the right circumstances. And we're resting in deep trust when we're doing it from this space, because often I think we can try to manifest or create from a space of will, which is at an unconscious level, or perhaps very subtly laced with a sense of I don't trust, and so I've got to really try to manifest the thing I want, and I've really got to stick at it, and I've got to keep doing it and keep thinking about it, keep visualizing it, and be willful in my body, contracted, in a very kind of exertive, anxious energy. And actually, I invite you just with me right now to just breathe in, audible exhales, soften. What if the invitation with creation and manifestation is not to approach our process as creators from a state of stress or will, but to actually allow the divine unfolding to happen through us, around us, as us, because that is the organic state of things. So it's not so much a process of becoming the new version of you, but returning to who you truly are, returning to your allness. And I think that this ties in very much with these themes of worth, value, confidence, power, leadership that are so often associated with this time and with Leo season. They are traits that I feel we can willfully try to cultivate, to try to be more confident. And there is a marriage here between us practicing and applying ourselves in our day-to-day lives as humans, cultivating that embodiment, you know, through trial and error, through practice, through showing up and doing, you know, speaking to the people that allow us to feel more confident in groups, you know, showing up in the spaces that allow us to feel more expanded and at ease in whatever situations we're in. There is a marriage between that doing, that aligned doing, but also leaning back and surrendering into our infinite being state. So actually allowing our inherent and divine worth, value, power, confidence, and natural state of leadership, however that chooses to express through us, to emerge from the being state. Not from a willful space, not from trying to be confident, because any degree of trying is an inauthentic expression. It's felt. People can feel when there is some manipulation or coercion of the state in which you're in. So actually, if you can allow yourself to, instead of try to become more worthy, try to become more valuable or confident, and actually recognize that you are that already. Your true state, your true luminous, boundless state is not even defined by those things, but you will automatically be embodied in those things when you rest in your being state. And it's merely identification or attachment to or believing in fear-based thoughts and shrunken self-states that obscure your ability to connect with this innate worth, innate value, and innate confidence. And so that is why, as I'm sure you've noticed if you are a regular on my channel, that I'm such a proponent for meditation, mindfulness, and presence, cultivating presence, because the more we can create space from the thinking mind and its momentum and its conditioning and its stories and its rhetorics and narratives, the more we can start to make different choices. When we can become aware of the thoughts we're thinking, we can actually choose whether or not that thought is expansive, empowering. Does it support us to return to more liberation and truth, freedom within ourselves, or indeed creation, conscious creation, or does it simply feed a feedback loop and cycle that is simply rooted in past conditioning, that's simply rooted in limitation and fallacy? And unfortunately, there is so much about our process that is influenced by this state, and we can really overcomplicate the process of creation and manifestation, when actually I'm starting to realize, at least in my direct experience, that it's easeful, that as creators we are here to create and manifest on behalf of God, as God, through God, easefully. And we're back in the woods. So there was a part 2 to that recording because my battery died, and then I continued the rest of the video later, but without turning my microphone on, so it was just mute. I think the last thing that I was saying in that video, from what I can recall, was about courage and how the archetypal energy of Leo, of the lion, and solar energy in general, it's very associated with courage. And we are being asked, invited, summoned by spirit during this time to cultivate courage, to move with courage, from courage. Isn't there a famous quote that says, courage is not the absence of fear, but acting in spite of it? That's the kind of energy I feel we're in right now. I'm sure you're feeling it somewhere in your life, that there's some aspect of your life, perhaps many aspects of your life, that just don't light you up, that don't feel like they're satiating you at a deep level, that feel limiting, that feel stagnant. that in some way are attached to an identity that you've outgrown, that you're ready to shed. And this is where courage comes in. This is where we move and we take action and we think differently and we stay loyal to the present moment, even when we don't have a conditional reality that, supports that vibration yet. We might still be in the same job. We might still hate the same job. I'm trying to figure out what the best lighting is. Maybe we're walking backwards. We're trying to, I don't know how sustainable this is, but it's quite fun, isn't it? She's looking at me like, what are you doing, you absolute muppet of a human? Why are you walking like that? Why am I walking like this metal? You gonna walk backwards with me? No, it's okay. She's like, you're broken, human. Stop it. You're freaking me out. So yeah, this is when we cultivate courage. It's during the moments when, not when we feel ready, okay? It's not the moments when we feel ready. It's the moments when we know the change is needed. Perhaps we don't in that moment feel fully connected to our sense of empowerment, to our sense of knowing, but we know that what we're doing right now is not the way. And so courage is not needing to know the whole journey. Courage is not needing to know your soul's trajectory, what your most empowered dharmic path looks like in total. No one does. We don't know the way. The way knows the way. Great song, by the way. We are just cultivating the courage to take the next step. And I suggest starting small. Applying your ability to move and breathe and embody more courage in small ways throughout your day-to-day experience. It's like building a muscle, it's beginning to nurture that energy within yourself so that when the time comes to make the more challenging choices for the ego structure, the changes and the shifts that might really shake you and stir up a sense of uncertainty, you've already started to cultivate a sense of knowing within yourself and a courage that acts in spite of the fear and is not waiting for the fear to be absent in order to make the change. And so I feel like that is it this month. Can you get really honest about where your soul, where it wants you to go, where it wants you to move, how it wants you to move, how it wants you to express, how it wishes to embody and emanate in this world? And can you see all the ways in which your attachment to your current outfit identity is keeping you stuck, restricted, limited? And can you let go of any ideas about how you're supposed to get there, to this vision your soul has? And can you let your innate knowing guide the next step? Not this, but this, your courageous heart that is not bound by logic or reason or linear time. It's quite a big transition to cultivate courage and live soul aligned in a world that doesn't value the spiritual, in a world that doesn't value the unseen. It does take courage to live that way. And if we feel spiritually inclined, if our path is one of spiritual growth, genuine spiritual growth and dedication to conscious evolution, the cultivation of courage is an absolutely vital component of that path. And it's really being able to hold the paradox of being with fear and being with a burgeoning connection to your knowing and moving from that place even when the fear is present. So I really encourage you this Lionsgate in this Leo season to let yourself dream, let yourself vision, let those knowing states of what your soul wants for you, what the divine wants for you to emerge. And then the process that I always refer to, deconstruct your desires. From that state that emerges, what would feel like an empowering pathway to get there? What would you need to be doing differently to be that person, to be embodied as that person right now? Can you feel that in your body? How you would need to vibrate differently, think differently, feel differently. Your vibrational point, set point would have to change. What would that feel like? What would that look like? This is the embodied exploration that builds the pathway within, and then we can start to build the pathway outside of ourselves from that vibration. I think that was it, to be honest. I think that was the sum of it. And if you do feel called to join me on the 8th of August, would love to have you there. And if you can't make it live, there'll be a replay sent out. Let's have a soft but fierce Lionsgate and Leo season, shall we? One where we're dedicated to soul growth and courage and cultivating faith and recognizing that the cultivation of power, of our empowerment, it happens in the moment. It's not a state that we eventually reach. We cultivate it in every moment. Every choice we make is a step towards more empowerment or not. So there is no end point to reach. You're cultivating the life you want. You're becoming the person you desire in each and every moment with the choices you make. That's a very important thing to remember. It's not the end destination. It's this consciousness from which you're moving through your life that builds the pathway of your dharmic destiny. I'm sending you love. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to like, subscribe, share. Helps the right people find my content. And I'll see you again in the next one.